So obviously you're with the Outlaws 8 years, and you do a show at Lernerville. It was during the week, and you're still with the Outlaws. What made you do that show at Lernerville, that high limit show at Lernerville, as a race director?
I like working every race I can. I'm a terrible fan. I don't like sitting watching other races. It's hard for me to do. I like working every race I can, and they offered me really good money to go work that race because they wanted it to be a good night with Dale Jr. being there. So, I mean, I had worked up until that point. I had worked other races and never had a word said to me. So I kind of figured it might be a problem, but I just went and did it because it was paying well.
It was a problem. And were you?
I mean, if nobody makes a big deal out of it, nobody knows I'm there, really. I mean, that's
right.
That's my job 95% of the time. If I do my job right, nobody knows who I am, which is fine by me. So I felt like they made a bigger deal out of it than what it needed to be.
Was obviously we know what happened. The World Racing Group and you guys parted ways. Were you surprised by
parted ways? That nice term for getting fired?
Well, hey, I'm going to let you say it.
But yeah, no, I got fired. I didn't part ways.
Well, okay, so they fire you. Were you surprised?
I went into the night. They knew that High Limit had interest in me, and I told them that, I had an offer, and they said, "Well, let us know, and maybe we can counter." And I said, "I don't play that game. You give me what you think I'm worth, and I'll make a decision." And I'd never heard anything, so I went into the night thinking it'd be one or two outcomes. That one, they'd be like, "Hey, we want you to stay. Here's an offer, blah, 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 blah," or I'd get fired. And well, we know what the outcome was.
Does it bother you a little bit after 8 years? I didn't know you were a tech guy, so I actually learned something here. But after the 8 years of race directing, countless races, did it bother you?
It bothered me because I felt like I let the racers down that year or last year. I felt like
at the end of the year.
Yeah, I didn't finish their year out for them, and they're used to me, blah blah blah. So I just felt like I let those guys down, not being there. It's a little disappointing to put in that much time and to not be cared about as much, I guess you should say.
So now you're at High Limit, and what exactly is your job?
Sure. What do you want it to be? I mean,
sure.
A lot of people don't understand. Like, they think Brad and Kyle in it for all this money, but man, there's one thing about the team they've assembled between Brad, Kyle, myself, Kendra, Brian Walker. At that point in time, there was 5 of us doing that, and then Josh Peterman, Kyle's business manager. Like, they did every bit of it. Like, anything you can think of, one of us had to do it at that point. And people don't, like, we're all passionate. We love racing. We just want to put on good racing and, do the best we can for the sport. And like Brad, I don't know how, I guess that's why he's a 5-time outlaw champ. And I was a little better than average, because he went out and won his 5th outlaw championship while putting together this series and booking races and doing everything for the series, and then would go get in a car and go race and won a championship. So that tenacity, it was hard to say no, because I don't feel like there's an option of failure. I don't feel like, there's any option to fail. Like, there's only option to go forward, and we'll figure out how to do it.
And obviously there's a big rhetoric with fans, certain fans or a group of fans. Oh, this is Kyle and Brad's series that, they're going to get calls, whatever. Shouldn't. No way. No, I'm getting there. They shouldn't run their own series. And look, honestly, I'm not a fan of a driver running his own series. However, once they hired you, I've seen you in the booth. I have that luxury of hearing you do a race. I think anybody who has a receiver, they hear you do a race, which we'll get to more of that later. But your job, really, according to Brad, talking to Brad, is anything race day, it's yours. And they're pretty much just competitors at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I think that'll be tough to draw that line in the first year or two, just because, Brad is the biggest face, and he's not the biggest face. He's the biggest voice. Kyle's the face, obviously.
Yeah.
So even now today, there was people that called him on rulebook stuff, and he says, I'm just going to have to tell him to call you. And it's like, yeah, that you are. So yeah, I mean, race day, anything race related with high limit is in my department. So, and then obviously I'm still going to race direct. So it's a little more on my plate, but I felt like I was ready to take that step anywhere else, and I wasn't offered. So yeah, race day will be a different look for me, and probably a little more work, but I raced, and I loved racing, and I loved trying to win. So I take that approach to race days in this position. Like, I go in and I just try to do the best I can and make it work for everybody.
So there's no problem putting back Kyle or Brad on a bad start.
Brad knows that. I've already called him. Actually, I've called them both back. I called Kyle back at Attica last year or the year before. And Brad's such a smart racer that he knows my limits, and he doesn't test them because he knows I won't even bat an eye to put them back. And I think that's part of the reason why they hired me, because they know doesn't matter if it's them or whoever else, I'm going to call it the way I see it, and that's it. And if it's wrong in somebody's eyes, well, so be it. But we can talk about it and we can agree to disagree, but you're going to know why I did it, and that's it.
Yeah, you're something that you do, and I've actually talked to you about this just on the phone, is you'll go on social media and explain yourself. You'll also say, hey, I got something wrong. That's odd. And what made you kind of take that initiative throughout the years?
I read social media, and obviously there's people you're never going to get through to and whatnot, but I just try to dispel the rumors of this or that. And I'll just say, hey, it wasn't the Outlaws' call. I don't get paid extra money for this or that. That was my call. I called it because of this. And if you don't, and that's it. Like, I don't have a reason to, I just called it the way I saw it, the way I felt I saw it. And there are times I go back and look at the video and went, oh, shit. And I'll call up that driver and be like, hey, yep, I screwed you. Or that night I'll walk over to him and be like, yep, I screwed up. But I think that's the biggest way to gain respect, is to show your humility and say, hey, I did screw up. I did it. I learned from it. I'll try not to do it again. So if you're trying to argue, it's hard to say, keep arguing. If somebody says, I screwed up, I don't want to do it again. What did you see? Why, just try to get the whole thing. But yeah, I just try to be outspoken about that stuff, because I don't think a lot of other people are or have been.
Now, you mentioned the rule book. It's come out. How
Yes.
much of a role did you play in putting this rule book together?
The rule book was there from the All-Stars, so we just kind of went through it the best. You can only read something so many times before it just starts blurring together as one. So we just all went through it and kind of made our marks of what we wanted to change, or what we thought we should change, what we thought we should align, with the Outlaws on, between myself, Brad, and Kevin Nouse. We just all made our own marks, and then one day we had a call and hammered through the whole rule book, and out it came.
People, fire suppression. I saw comments today, people, well, they're the Outlaws 2.0. Well, I look, and this is where I come out on this. It's not like the Outlaws are the evil empire and everything was bad.
No, I mean, if it was that bad, it wouldn't have been around for as long as it is. So, we can't get ourselves on an island in the rule book, or else, it punishes our competitors. If our rules are different, then they're going to go run these big races on different rules. All we're doing is putting our teams behind. So we kind of have to align together to make things the same. Obviously there are some things that maybe we might want to change that they might not want to or whatnot. But so far, sides of the world, some parts of that have went pretty smooth, talking with them to kind of make sure we're all together on certain things. And fire suppression was one of them. They were happy to see that we were doing it, making it mandatory.
How important was that to still look? The two sides. I mean, I had Brian Carter on. I did our first deep dive with him, and obviously, when I talked to him on the show, I said, "You, Brad, aren't going to exactly get in a room and share dinner. Okay, that's not going to happen." No. But there has been, and I'm sure there's probably some hard feelings with your situation, both ways maybe, but yet you guys still work together. How important was that for you guys at High Limit to still, regardless of anything that happened, regardless of anything that's been said, you guys still got to kind of work together for the betterment of sprint car racing?
I mean, I think if you're going to make sprint car racing better as a whole, you have to work together. So, I think that puts the ball in one court to say, hey, well, if we want it to be, some things they may not perceive the same or whatnot, but I think we just want to try to make it better, and I hope they do too. And honestly, I think, depending on the economy and whatnot, I think there's room for 2 series. I honestly do. There's been 2 late model series for however long. And now, obviously, with our committed cars, there's probably enough cars to go both series for, how in the foreseeable future. So I think if the economy stays good and the fans can come, I think we're good. I just hope that we don't oversaturate some areas. You just have to do it to see what works and doesn't, though.
Are you surprised with how many people signed up?
Yes. We were thinking 12 tops. So
you're on the bonus. You're on the bonus plan.
Yeah. There's definitely a bonus plan. I mean, I guess they like the package. I don't know. I mean, people want to say they're going to drop off in this or that. Well, I mean, maybe it happens. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe they all finish. Maybe they don't. But obviously, we've had 17 teams put their trust in what we're doing. So, I feel good about that. And, if the fans are worried about Kyle and Brad getting favors, the teams sure aren't showing it.
Have you talked to any teams about that? I mean, because I've heard teams say, or they said it to me. Have you talked to teams and said, look, there's no favoritism here? Have you kind of reinforced that?
I think I think the guys that have run with me know, they know that I'm an equal opportunity asshole. I don't care if it's the guy signing my check or not. Like, they hired me to do a job, and they get that. Like, if Kyle would have stopped on the front stretch and I was in race directing, there'd have been 2 things happen. He's going to the tail or I'm quitting, because he's not going to show me up like that, for one. And 2, he's going to the tail because he stopped.
I think he learned his lesson.
Yeah, I think so too. But I mean, like I said, I've called Kyle back in starts. At Eldora, when he got in that wreck and he rolled in the pit area, I said, you're DQ'd, which he wasn't going to run anyways. The rear end was broken half, which I did know, but I just wanted to make sure that my official on the ground knew that, hey, he's not coming back out. We don't roll on reds, and people, he defended me on that. He said, yeah, I probably did roll a little too far. So it is what it is. I think they know. And I think the teams that have run with us, or run with, in races I've been race director at in the last 8 years, know, like, he's just going to call it the way he sees it. And hopefully it's right.
I listened to you, other than being in the booth. I listened to you last year at Eldora for the first time. I had a race receiver in, and you don't say a lot. And I always go back to, sometimes, it's like a coach. Sometimes your best coaches, they don't need to yell, scream, talk all the time. It serves no purpose. Do you kind of look at race directing that way, that, you only talk when you have to? These guys are busy enough, or is that or is it just kind of something you took away from your driving days, that you thought maybe guys talk too much?
I just try to give them the information I feel they need. And if that's perceived as not talking a lot, then so be it. I mean, I guarantee you there's some nights where my damn drive radio goes dead because I've talked so much, but maybe we had different circumstances. But, I'm lucky as shit, because I started doing this at the World Outlaws. Like, I didn't race direct at some local track and have to deal with what that entails.
Okay.
I got to start with the absolute best in the business. Like, the guys on the track are consummate professionals and good at what they do. So I don't have to scream and yell. They know, like, if I say, hey, you're behind this car, and they don't go, they know they have two options. It's get behind that car, I'm done scoring you. You're done. It's not a yell at them. It's here's your choice. Make it up. I just don't see, I'm pretty straightforward to the point on the radio, as you've heard. Like, this is it. If you don't like it, I'm sorry. Come, see me later, but we got to go.
Welcome to another edition of the SprintCarUnlimited.com live show. Apologize for the early start, but with High Limit going on FS1, it just made sense to go with an earlier show. So again, we'll do the best we can and take questions, whether it's calls or the chat. So let's start firing away. ABC 27 is showing Saturday as a washout. Port Royal should move the Kaufman Classic to one of the Speed Week shows. I mean, I wouldn't be a bad idea. I know the one's the Hodnet race, so it would have to be, I guess, the midweek one. I'm not sure if there's anything on that right now, but yeah, I mean, it would definitely work for that. I believe it's Wednesday. Speed Week, those middle of the week shows sometimes flip flop, but whether it's Wednesday or Thursday, I'm not sure if anything's on that without looking. So could be, but I know Saturdays, I think the Hodnet Cup. Kofoid driving under the infield tire in turn 2 should have been DQ'd. It's not going to happen. Everybody made a big deal of that. Now, look, when he came back on the track, obviously he hit that tire and he did a wheel stand, and obviously it shot right. Now, I have a couple thoughts. Number one, I've seen a lot of drivers go inside tires. I saw Tanner Thorson do it last year at Lernerville. The other thing is, why are they buried? Why are the tires buried to where only the tops? I mean, do you expect drivers to, in the heat of the moment, know where they're at? Maybe he should. I can't answer that, but they're not going to DQ. If he would have won that race, they would not have DQ'd him. I don't believe they would have. They can say they would have, but I think, he didn't cut through the entire infield. And the other thing is, again, they're buried, which makes, why are we even still doing the tires thing? I mean, it's 2026. I didn't get the whole thing, but yeah, I mean, if they're going to enforce it, I don't know the rule as well. I wasn't at the drivers' meeting. Obviously, I don't know what they said, if it was even brought up. but I don't think they would have DQ'd him. JJR41 has a Ford engine in tonight. Yes, it does. Don't expect it at Knoxville this weekend. I've reached out to a couple people on this, and yeah, it's just tonight. I heard about it earlier today, and touched on that with someone, and I think they're just, you're not going to see it for World of Outlaws events. No way. I question whether you'll see it at Eldora. I think obviously reliability is something that is a concern. So we'll see how it does tonight. Chase Dietz has looked really good and the season has barely started. Do you think he gets to 15 wins? Will he run the whole series in PA? I think he's going to run the bulk of it. I think he's going to miss some shows. Obviously, when he goes to Knoxville, Kings Royal, and such, could depend on rainouts, on whether he runs the series, and really for Dietrich as well. If the rainouts fall just right, they'll run it, I'm sure. As far as 15 wins, I had him at 12 earlier in the year on the podcast. Ryan Hand, I forget what Ryan said. I hung it around 12, and he's well on his way, and he's on his way to 15 for that matter. 15's a lot. When you start getting sanctioned races in here, and with the number of sanctioned races, I believe there's 17 or 18, that obviously becomes more difficult. And you get to PA, but PA Speed Week, it could be determined how many of those get in. I think 15 is doable. I'm going to stick with my 12, 13 number, which is still really good. Jeremy, what's your thoughts on Brad Sweet driving the 94 instead of Larson not racing? Larson has a tire test, so he can't do it. I know I confirmed that yesterday. So I'm not surprised. I mean, obviously Brad wants to race. Eagle, it's a TV show, which makes sense. And so I'm not surprised at all, especially with Kyle not being able to race. Thoughts on Connor Wade's post-race interview with both Sunshine and Buddy? Yeah. I don't think 16 months ago they do that interview with Buddy. I think there is a bigger push now to create rivalry, or I don't want to say sensationalize it because I think that's too far. But I don't know if they do that interview with Buddy a year and a half ago. It's so odd to go back to the pits and do that. I mean, how many times have we seen Dirt Vision do that? Not often. So I don't even think they do it. I thought Buddy was wrong on his assessment. Look, it was hard racing that whole 10 and 12 laps. Did Courtney cut him short on the front stretch? Yeah. Buddy almost ended up in the wall. Was there some blocking or cutting off the nose? Sure. The incident itself, though, I don't blame Courtney at all. I mean, I said in my 90 at 9 it was a 50-50 deal, and what I screwed up was I meant in totality for the 10, 12 laps. It was just hard racing. You're going for the win. I saw worse than that on a weekly basis years ago, and I get they're going faster and times change, and that's fine. I don't know. I know some people said Connor and Johnny Gibson took a side. Maybe they did. I didn't listen to that part really that close. But as for the interview, I thought Buddy was wrong in his assessment. I was surprised Connor went back and did it. But Connor is getting more into that doing stories. And he's going to kind of treat it a little bit like journalism. Sort of, kind of. I don't fault him for that. And it is an extra layer on top of their coverage. It just adds to it. I don't have a problem with it. I just don't think they would have done it 18 months ago. I don't think they would have cared. I think they might have done something leading up to the next race, and they would have mentioned it. I talked to Buddy Kofoid and he blah, 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 or maybe played it. But Buddy was wrong in his assessment. And I thought Courtney gave the standard answer, which was, yeah, it was hard racing. It was pretty obvious by the condition of the dirt that Buddy wasn't the only one cutting the corner. Yeah, this whole cutting the corner thing, I think people are making a way bigger deal out of that than they should. I've seen it for years. And again, I don't know why the tires are half buried. That doesn't make sense to me. The wheelie's the big problem. When he came back onto the track, it appeared like he caught one of them that caused the wheel stand, and the car went right. Courtney was coming down. They met. End of story. But I don't want to hear cheating or DQ'd. Stop it. What happened to the 55 of Dallas Shot and the 10X of Noah Tarski? Are they planning on racing, or are they done? I have not heard anything on Shot. I think Noah Tarski could be out, but I'm unsure. I have reached out to Ryan Smith to get an answer on that. And if I get one during the show, I will pass that along. But I have not heard anything on either driver. How do you formulate the questions you ask the drivers post-race? Do you go into each night with an idea of what you're going to ask, or do you just figure it out as the event unfolds? I figure it out all on the fly. I don't start thinking about questions until I'm walking to their trailer. I want it to be A, as organic as it could be, and B, the race just happened. I want it to be fresh. Now, I'm going to Knoxville this week, and for the two World of Outlaws events, if David Gravel wins, I might already know, hey, I'm going to ask him about the last few races. I might ask him, what he felt about the Coyle deal, maybe. But other than that, it's as I'm walking to their trailer. And sometimes I don't know until I'm actually filming it. And that's just an experience thing. I spent a lot of time, when I covered other sports, you don't always get time to think about your questions. I seem to work better that way anyway. I don't know why, which makes it difficult to plan, which gets some people upset, family and friends. They want me to get in and get out. But yeah, it's all on the fly. Bob on line one. Bob, how are you?
Doing good.
Good.
I just had to call and tell you, I was watching Chaz and Cody Jacobs the other night, and Cody proceeded to call me an idiot, and kind of you one too, because there's no way you could have known that they weren't going to get out of the work zone, and me for talking about how much time was allotted. Then the other night I saw him again, and he's like, I do agree with the guy that called in. He said, I don't like the work zone either. I don't think you should be able to do anything but change a tire. But if the rules are going to allow us to rebuild the car, then we're going to rebuild the car. I mean, We'd be stupid not to.
Somebody pointed out to me that Cody said that, and I did listen to it. And my thought was, he didn't call me. He just said, I don't know how you could know that. Well, maybe I think more of his crew than he does. Yeah. I figured they'd get out. Once David Gravel walked around that car and his steps got a little quicker and he was motioning, that told me that they at least felt they could make a run at it. And I also counted laps. So I kind of knew they were close. opening it up there made sense because of the amount of laps they completed with the amount of cautions they have. It's math. It's not hard. So I guess Cody didn't do that, which is fine. He's watching the race and doing whatever, but it was math to me. And then once David kind of started motioning quicker, I kind of figured they'd get out. That it was just what I saw. That's all.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was just watching Flow. It looks like they got 39 cars at
That's good.
Eagle and Corey Day's there.
Yeah, I played a pool, Corey Neshaw's pool. If you didn't get it in, get it in. I took Corey Day. I took Courtney. I forget everybody I took, but I took Corey Day over Brad Sweet and I believe Aaron Reitzel.
Yeah, I think I saw where Larson and brain fade. The other little sprint car driver, it's a NASCAR. They were both doing a tire test today, so they weren't going to be able to get there.
Yeah, that is. I knew Kyle had a tire test, so he couldn't be there. So it makes sense for Brad to be there.
But that was basically all I wanted. I was kind of laughing watching him call me an idiot. But
well, it happens. It happens.
But have a good night, and I'll enjoy the show.
All right, thanks, Bob. I appreciate it.
All right, bye.
Bye. All right. What else do we got? Who is your pick to win tonight at Eagle? Corey Day. Basing that on he was chasing Buddy Kofoid last year. I thought he was faster than Buddy. He just screwed up and flipped. I like Corey Day to rebound tonight. Dave on line 2. Dave, how are you?
Hey, Jeremy. On this jumping the start subject, I think there's a couple of options here. You could do like the Outlaws used to do. I think you have a better angle starting them down the back straightaway. And maybe like some of the late model guys down south do the Delaware thing where you put one guy in front and everybody 2x2. Put the leader out there in the front by itself. That might be. Some of these tracks, it's hard to get the angle in these corners, but going down the straightaway, you can see who jumps.
Yeah, but I don't think you can base it on going down the front stretch, especially on the initial start. I don't buy that at all. Because a lot can happen from wherever the line is to the flag stand, and the flag stand has nothing to do with it unless you jump and you just kind of get back in line and you let it cycle through to where you were where you started. I know at times that's been let go. I agree with Billy Dietrich and Lance DeWeese. I talked to Lance DeWeese at BAPS that day. Billy Dietrich chimed in, and I agree with them. I don't like the Delaware start. I think that's dumb. But I do like what the Outlaws used to do. Or going into turn 3. You have a better vantage point, except at the Grove because of the haulers. But most tracks, you have a better vantage point. And you know what? Let the leaders start the race on restarts wherever on the backstretch. From, say, at the Grove, you could do it from the bridge on. There's got to be a marker somewhere. From there on, you can start it. Whatever the case is, yeah, I'm more in favor of that than anything.
Yeah. That used to be cool watching them go down the back straightaway to Eldora and then just about halfway down the straightaway just hammer down. That was pretty cool.
I saw Steve Kinzer and Sammy Swindell at Hagerstown for an Outlaws show start out of turn 2.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, for that little dust up there with Kofoid and Sunshine, that was a hell of a race them two had going on.
Yeah, they're two talented guys. They both run well there. That doesn't hurt. They both know that track well. They both I believe both have won there in a midget, or at least raced there in a midget. I'm not surprised those two were up front. It was a good track for Courtney. And Courtney, I think Courtney needed that win. I think that was a huge win for him because he didn't have a national touring win. Didn't contend for a national 410 win since his injury. I think that was huge. Now we can kind of, we're past it. It'll be interesting to see how he does tonight and at Knoxville this week. I assume he's going to go to Knoxville. Everybody else is. It'll be interesting to see if he can build on that moving forward.
All right, that's about all I got, Jeremy. We'll go over and see what these high limit guys are going to do tonight. I'll see you later, buddy.
All right, Dave. Thank you very much. I heard HP Engines has a new owner. Not yet, but coming. I don't think the paperwork's been signed yet, but when it is, or when it can be talked about, I will talk about it. Hope we get a roster on where drivers are going in PA on Friday. I want to go where there is the highest 410 sprint car count, but currently undecided. Well, the higher count's probably going to be the Grove. So far, anytime, I don't know. Sealand's Grove, I think when they run against the Grove, I don't think they beat them once, and I don't think they will this year. And now the Grove added more money into Friday with Leyland's Collectibles, which is Mike Hefner's involved there. So it's going to be $6,000 to win, $600 to start, whereas Sealand's Grove is going to be $5,000. Now, does that change where Chase Dietz goes? I don't know. Does it change where Dietrich goes? Probably not. I doubt it. Brock Zierfoss, I think he could end up. He was at the Grove last time because it was time trials. As long as they have time trials, I think Zierfoss goes to the Grove. I think it's a no-brainer as far as which track gets more cars. I think it'll be Williams Grove. Cedar Lake has had yellow painted tires buried forever. Well, that's great. We used to light our houses by fire. Now we use electricity. I just think it's archaic. I don't understand why we don't progress past that. I don't like tires in the infield anyway, because it just too much can happen. And we've seen it. We've seen it happen. We've seen guys hit tires, and yeah, it's their fault. And I get all that. I don't know. Just put a berm or put guardrail up. This whole we did it years ago and we don't progress. I just think progress needs to happen. Sealand's Grove is 6,088 due to an anonymous sponsor. Big shock. Big shock. When was that released? That was today. And see that here we go again. If I would have been Williams Grove, I would have never, within the last 24 hours, I believe. Yeah. When Williams Grove announced theirs, and here we go, then it goes up again. Now you're in an arms race. If I would have been Williams Grove, I would have never gotten into that. I think there's a better way to handle it. I think a smarter way would have been to say, you know what, we're dropping our admission price. Put the money into and drop the admission price. Do something for fans. How about those Flyers? I told you last week, they're pretty good. They're young. Pittsburgh's old. Pittsburgh looks old. Wow. They don't look good at all. I think the Flyers win that series. And I said it would go 7. And I like the Flyers, which, again, I said last week, but I didn't expect them to win both of them out in Pittsburgh. In fact, I had Pittsburgh first period spread last night and took it on the chin. Yeah, I thought Pittsburgh would come out flying last night. They were again, they're old. They're old. Flyers are pretty hungry too. Do you think Justin Sanders would be top 3 in points in High Limit or World of Outlaws if they chose to tour the country? Not the World of Outlaws, no. Because he hasn't seen a bunch of those tracks. And same with High Limit. I think it would take time. I think in time he could with High Limit, but it's going to take it's going to take a couple years to get used to all the places they go. I don't think he's going to go out there and boom, he's third and top 3 in points. I think Reitzel's pretty good. I think Rico will come around at some point. And Courtney, I think, is going to get better. And I think that's one of the things we're seeing with High Limit now is I think you see a series in flux as far as things going on with the teams. As I said, I was doing my podcast yesterday, and it'll be released tomorrow, I hope. Each team seemed to have something going on in the offseason. Tanner Holmes and Boot, new team. Rico, new owner. You had Tyler Courtney coming off injury. You had Brent Marks changing crews. You had Kerry Madsen with a new situation at Vermeer with Ty Wolfgang. You have Gio Selzy, new team built from scratch in like 2-3 months. Really, the only 2 guys who didn't have a change were Reitzel and Thorson. And they're number 1 and number 2 in points. So I think it would take some time for Justin running around the country. I think obviously coming here, seeing Port Royal, I don't think he's going to get on Port Royal and just buzz around everyone. It seems Port Royal's hard for invaders now. That changes every 3 to 5 years. Used to be the Grove. Now it's Port Royal. It was Lincoln for a while. It just moves around. So I think in time with High Limit, he'd be a perfect driver for High Limit. I just think it would take some time to kind of get his bearings out in the road all the time. I don't think you're going to see it, and I understand why. I think he makes money in California. I think he has his shock deal, which I think is pretty good. And now you can run NARC for $30,000. You see High Limit. You see the World of Outlaws. You run the Dirt Cup. I don't think there's any reason to leave. And I think the World of Outlaws are a little more stacked with the top 2 guys are the top 2 guys. And then Macedo's going to beat Justin on the road in that car with how things are. Could take a little time there, but maybe 5th, maybe. Sheldon's been out there a long time. Donnie's been out there a long time. It's not as easy as people think. With the Sunshine and Buddy deal, I'm wondering at what point does Buddy just race for points? I don't think he's wired like that. And I think, too, the way the race played out probably led to this. First off, he starts 3rd. So you think he's going to be in the hunt the whole race. He's good there. He was fast all night, yada, yada, yada. I don't know how he fell back to 10th. That shocked me. But then he falls back to 10th and then just charges up to 3rd and then 2nd. I think at that point he knew he had the fastest car. And I think that, again, gets him going. And at that point, he's going for the win. I don't disagree with your race for points, because when they came to the white, I thought Tyler Courtney was in a really good spot. I think he had 3 to 5 car lengths, something like that, coming off the corner and hitting the stripe. And at a quarter mile, sure, anything could happen. But if Buddy finishes 2nd, he's picking up 16 more points, I believe, if I figured it right, close, over gravel. That's going to put him at 44 points. And I think he's up to second. I think he passes Macedo in points. That was about a 36-point accident because now he's 80 back of gravel. So I don't disagree. There comes a point where you got to know, hey, I'm big picture here. But again, I thought he was faster than Tyler Courtney. I thought lap traffic did not play out for Kofoid at all. And Courtney did a great job. But yeah, he probably should have just settled for second on that one. Does Donnie have a good shot to get a win at Knoxville this weekend? It's got to time better. It all comes down to qualifying for him. He's still not. There's a couple nights where he qualifies well, but I don't think he has no chance to win at Knoxville this weekend if he qualifies 15th or whatever. There's going to be 55, 60 cars there. High Limit's going to be there. It's their season opener. You're going to have 17 World of Outlaws guys there. You can't time 15. He's going to have to time to where he makes the dash. Then yes. But a good shot based on his qualifying so far, no. He's got to qualify better. Buddy will never win a championship if he doesn't settle down. I think we're getting past. I think he is a different racer than he was 2-3 years ago. I think the deal at Kennedale, I don't think it was he needed to settle down thing. I think that he was running a line that was the fastest, but a lot of guys couldn't run it. That wasn't a settle down thing. Tri-State, if you want to make that argument, sure. But I think Buddy's going to win the championship next year. And I don't think if he can race just like he did this year. I've talked to people believe, there's people in the pit area who believe Buddy is already the best driver. It just, he's had some mechanical woes. Obviously, the car not starting at Volusia, the backup car, that was huge. The Kennedale issue, which again, I don't think that was a settle down thing. And yesterday, I don't think that's a weekly thing for him. I just think he just screwed up. He screwed up. So I don't think it's a settle down thing. Big flip for Danny Sams in hot laps. Oh man, that look, I don't root on guys because obviously I got to stay impartial, but I want to see Danny Sams do well. Come on. The guy's out there with his mom and dad, and he doesn't have this well-funded crew operation. You just want him to do well, and that sucks. He's okay though. That's good. And does he have a backup that he can just pull down? Good for him. He's a gamer. I like Danny Sams. I'd like to see him get in a more funded deal just to see what he can do. I think he's done enough in his family deal or with who owns it to where I'm like, okay, I want to see him progress. I want to see what he could do with a bigger team. We know you're a Buddy homer. I know. I said he screwed up. I said his interview wasn't right. I mean, what was I supposed to say? I don't know. Am I supposed to call him names? I don't know. I'm not a homer. I know what I'm looking at. I know he has 26 World of Outlaws wins already, and his win rate in World of Outlaw competition is pretty high for this sport. I know what I'm looking at. I mean, he's good. He's really, really good. And he's going to win a ton of races. And he's going to win championships. Now, if you're asking me if he's going to win a ton of Knoxville Nationals, he's on. Next week will be interesting, or I should say this week will be interesting at Knoxville for him. It's a place where he's up and down. The Grove, place he's up and down. Eldora, he's not overly good at Eldora. Those 3 tracks are where he needs to improve. So my assessment of Buddy's pretty right on. I think it's pretty spot on. It's not being a homer. He's screwed up and probably should have settled for second at Tri-State. He's not wired like that. I thought the how he assessed it wasn't correct, but I mean, he's still a great driver, and he's going to win a ton of races, and he's going to win a title, and he's not out of it this year. I don't know what I'm supposed to say. To not be a homer, I don't know what that means. 60-plus cars at Knoxville this weekend. Oh, yeah. Last year it was 65 for the second night. The first night got clipped because of weather. So I think it's going to be 60-plus. Courtney drove one hell of a race. Hope he does it again tonight. Again, that's going to be interesting. Does Courtney continue this success? Does he carry it over to high limit? Did he just need to break through and get that one win? I think that that's the question. He hasn't contended for a win with high limit yet since he's been back. Now, there hasn't been a ton of races. What's it, 9, 10, I believe? But yeah, he needs to start cooking over with high limit. Will Garrett Williamson win a national touring race this year? Good question. Really good question. I like Garrett Williamson. I think he's progressed. I think he's doing better. Yeah, I'm going to give him one. I'm going to say he breaks through and wins a World of Outlaws event this year. That must have stunned somebody. Williamson's at Eagle. Williamson at the top of the hot lap charts right now. Well, I mean, yeah, he could win tonight. He's seen the place before. Both Gibson and Wade made themselves look very unprofessional by saying Sunshine chopped Buddy's front end off. That's not what happened. They should do better. I'm not going to disagree. I don't know. I tend to sometimes tune out the announcing part because I think, as I watch it, I think sometimes maybe that can influence it. But yeah, if they said that, that's not what happened. And of course, first off, I think the whole high limit World of Outlaws thing right now is it's just not my focus. I think World of Outlaws drivers should be at Eagle tonight. And I think they should be allowed to run the TV shows. And I would love to see the World of Outlaws and High Limit just for the TV shows do a co-promotion. And I do think High Limit would be open to it. Just talking because it's good for sprint car racing. And whether people like it or not, there's no difference between the Outlaws and High Limit. They're sprint cars. Okay, it's like AFC, NFC. And I think in some cases, not all, I think in the case of TV races, I would like to see them treat it that way. I think it's good for the drivers. I think it's good for the sport. I think it would be good for both series. Will it happen? Probably not. But I don't understand. I hope they didn't skew it because Buddy was an Outlaws guy or Courtney is a high limit guy. Maybe they just saw it so quick and didn't get the benefit of a replay. I don't know, but and again, I did not listen to them as closely as probably other people did. But yeah, that's not what happened. Do you know why Channel 27 Sports doesn't do the segment Dirt Track Tuesday anymore? That was one way to get sprint car racing in front of people. I would assume either they couldn't get a sponsor for it. There was everything on those stations is done by interest level. And sorry to say, if they changed it, it was either because of a programming thing where your programmer doesn't like dirt track racing, or it just wasn't popular, or something like that. If it was doing well, or it was drawing money, or something like that, then they would do it. It's simple as that. Shout out to Carson Short on a good run, filling in for Baylog. Agreed. Condolences to Bill Baylog. He lost his partner to cancer. It's horrible at 38 years old, no less. Just a horrible situation. I was glad Baylog was able to get Carson Short to fill in, and Carson Short obviously knows Tri-State well and did a good job putting it in the top 10. Again, hopefully we see Bill Baylog real soon. Why no love for Sealands Grove? Can't be any harder on equipment than other half miles. Love from who? I just don't think it's smart to go up against Williams Grove. That's it. I wish them the best. I hope they succeed. I hope they're around for years to come. I have no axe to grind with them. I just think it's a mistake to run against Williams Grove. Nobody has succeeded doing that. Here's something to think about. Hagerstown did it with Doug Wolfgang and Keith Kaufman, arguably the two most popular drivers in the region at that time, and that failed. Why do it? I don't understand it. It doesn't have to be done. What, because three other drivers maybe said that they're okay with it? And I think it hurts their standing in the industry. I know for a fact that the Grove isn't overly happy about it, meaning Williams Grove. Do you really want to get, on the bad side of them? That doesn't make sense, especially so early in being promoters at the Speedway. I just don't get it. I just don't understand why you would do that. But I have nothing against them personally. I hope they succeed. I hope around for years to come. I just don't like running against Williams Grove. I just don't think it's a smart business decision. The guy who the 305s at Port Royal should show a little more class rather than being an ass. I assume you mean Nick Swigert. I talked about it on my 99. I don't understand the whole swearing in victory lane thing. If we're going to play into being hillbillies, I don't think we're going to progress. That's it. And I don't care. I got a lot of comments. Well, stop clutching your pearls, and you should hear him talk in the pit area. Yeah, I hear people talk in the pit area. I'm in the pit area every week. I'm not talking about the pit area. Kids in the grandstands, and they don't hear the pit area. I don't even care what they do in private discussions. But you're on a PA system. You just won, and you're going to drop 3 F-bombs. I don't want to hear the word mistake, because you know what you said. You obviously intended to say it, so it's not really a mistake. If you want to say it's a gaffe, okay, because a gaffe is something that shows bad judgment. A mistake, though, losing your car keys is a mistake. He knew what he wanted to say. He obviously wanted to make a point, and that's how he chose to do it. I don't agree with it. I don't understand. And look, I'm not some, yes, I've swore. I have cussed in my life, and that's all well and good, but I don't do it over a PA system. I don't do it on my shows because it's just kind of low rent. I just don't. And you don't see it in the professional sports. Yeah, there might be a slip up and somebody says ass or whatever. They're not dropped. He dropped it 3 times. That's not a mistake. 3 times. And you rarely, if ever, see it in professional sports. Now, I know how they talk in the locker room. I've been in the locker room. But it's not for the public. You don't have kids running around. Just show a little decorum. Just a little. Can we just maybe bring it up a small notch? Hit that like button. Yeah, please do. Obviously, moving the show up. We didn't even get to our start time normally. We have 161 people on. That's good. I appreciate it. And we'll keep rolling along. Me, along with other fans I heard, were really disappointed in the ticket price at Lincoln. Yes, they had free camping, which is a plus, but $30 to see the same guys we can watch for 2025. You're bringing up one of my main issues with this series. You're getting nothing for the extra money. You're going to see Chase Dietz. You're going to see Danny Dietrich, Freddie Raymer, Troy Wagaman. Guess what? You can go to the Grove this week and see him at a cheaper price. Now, obviously, Sealands Grove's racing, so you might not. But on a regular Friday night, most cases, you're going to see those same guys at a cheaper price. Why would you pay more? I agree. I agree. The $30 price tag for those PA Posse Series races, I think it's going to be bad as the season goes on. I've not seen an uptick in crowds. The crowd at Lincoln wasn't good. I have pictures of it during the heat races for the 410s. It's not good. The crowd at the Grove might have made a little jingle, but it wasn't good. Port Royal wasn't good. It's to me right now, it has made no impact on the area. And from a car count standpoint, think about it. Lincoln last year for the Weldon Sterner Memorial got 29. This year they got 33. They paid a $4,000 sanction fee. So you got 4 more cars. That's it. The Grove's yet to surpass 30 cars yet. Babs's car count's down. Now, they weren't series races, but I think the series affects that. So I do think that the series has not done anything yet. It has not added to the area yet. Now, we're only 6 races in. One of them got rained out. I guess the weather looks sketchy this week for Saturday, but then they go to Bridgeport. It's the first time a fringe track is going to host one of these events, and it'll be interesting to see the car count and the fan count. But so far, the series hasn't made an impact in the stands and really the pit area. I know somebody's going to say, well, they got 42 cars the week before. Yeah, they had 7 high limit guys. So they got 35, which they probably get if nobody else is running. The high limit guys were coming regardless. Not one high limit guy said, ooh, it's a series race. That's why I'm coming. No, they're coming because of the Weichert, which is a month away. Again, I just haven't seen anything. Maybe it'll change. As of now, I don't think it's made an impact, whether it's in the stands or in the pit area. And they're still paying these $4,000 sanction fees. Port Royal Speedway is $16,000 in the hole off last year. I'm not saying overall in their books. I'm saying they paid $16,000 more than they did last year for these races. Series is $4,000. It's $2,000 to be on the schedule. It's $2,000 if you run it. If you don't run it, you still pay the $2,000 to be on the schedule. You just don't pay the extra $2,000. So they lost $2,000 even when they lost the one PA series race to weather. And then you have the bump up in purse, which is about $3,000 more. And they've run a couple of these things, which is 4,000. So it adds up. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I agree. $30. See the same guys. Good luck. I'm so glad after seeing years of dominance that we are getting different guys winning every week. Thank God the shots, Kinzer, sweet errors are over. That's the first time I've gotten that on this show, so that's kind of why I'm chuckling. Yeah, I mean, you have 3 guys winning double digits now. You have Carson Macedo, Buddy Kofoid, and David Gravel. We didn't have that for a few years, but I mean, there were years where we still had that. I mean, whether it was Shots and Sweet or Shots and Gravel, and 2000. If you go back to 2000s, I think you had like 8 or 9 Hall of Famers on that roster at the time. It's cyclical. It's cyclical. I think it's a good story now that Shots is kind of that guy who is trying to get back to prominence. I think that's a good thing for the series. If he wins now, people are going to be way more excited than when he was winning 30 races. So I agree with you in that aspect. But David Gravel, those top 3 are still pretty good, and they're going to be hard to beat on a regular basis. Aaron Reitzel, P1 in Group A. Madsen, Timms, Macedo with a Ford. Not bad. Thorson, Crouch, Lynch, Hank Davis, Persley, Chris Martin, rounding out the top 10. Good job, Eric, for putting that up. I appreciate it. We even give updates here in the SprintCarUnlimited.com live show. I think you're right, Jeremy. Williamson is getting better by the weekend, it seems. I like how he's progressed. And I do think he'll win a race this year. I don't know where, but I think he's running in the top 5 more. He's kind of a fixture in the top 10. He looks good. Good young driver. Doesn't do a lot of dumb stuff being as young as he is. Progressing nicely. Gets a win this year. Jeremy, will anyone be able to beat Day tonight? Fair enough, not a homer. It's okay. You can call me whatever you want. No, I like Day to boat race this field. I'm basing it on the last time I saw him there. And this place suits him. It's on the fence. Now the fence could bite him. It did last time. But if he gets out front, he's gonna beat him up. I have him. That's who I have on the podcast, which again, I apologize for not getting that out. Ryan and I taped that yesterday. That'll be on SprintCarUnlimited.com, I hope, tomorrow. Just trying to get a guest for the second segment, and then we'll put that up. But I have Ryan Hand has, I don't know who he has. You know what? I have it right here. He has Courtney. I have Corey Day, and I took Corey Day in the pool. We'll see if that was smart or not. Wanted to say how much I agreed with you on the F-bombs in the Victory Lane. Never going to offend someone not using language like that. I don't want my kids talking like that. And look, I'm sure you can parent your kids, and everybody can parent their kids, and it's everybody's responsibility to parent their kids. But everybody talks about wanting the sport to progress. That's not the way to do it. It doesn't make you tough. It doesn't make it's a word, and I get that. But I just don't understand using it in that forum. I don't understand. I talk to people on the phone all day. I don't talk like that to begin with. Now, have I said it? Yes. Have I said it this week? Yes. I'm not saying, in fact, when I yell at the TV, that's probably when I use it at a hockey game, when I lose a bet. But I just don't understand doing it in a public forum like that. It just makes you sound not smart. I just don't get it. I never understood it. That's the only thing you can say. And it's not me being a prude. Like I said, I've said probably everything at one point, but I would never do it in that. There's other people. Think of the other people. Surprise Carson, Macedonian, and Garrett Williamson are using a freebie tonight. Maybe laps for June there if they still have more freebies to use. I think it comes down to, I think they'll obviously use the ones at Eldora then. I think the schedules don't really mesh like they used to. And even last year, it seemed like at the end of the year, guys still had freebies and never used them. And with them not going to Lernerville, which Macedo won at Lernerville, I think, hey, move it to Eagle. And a lot of people love Eagle. I'm sure the crowd's good tonight. Eagle always draws a crowd. They draw a crowd for 305s. I think it just makes sense, and it's TV race. But yeah, they have to use one of their freebies. Will on line 3. Will, how are you?
I'm doing well. Like I said, I got off the couch, took the family and my grandson to Tulare. They ran their 3-division sprint car show and got it done by 10 o'clock.
There you go. See?
I'd like to say... I just thought it was a good show. It seems like the new group with Scott Woodhouse running NARC. There was zero shenanigans, as we say.
Good.
With NARC. Yes. It was a sweetless NARC show. It was more of your traditional NARC race without sweet racing.
Sanders dominate.
Oh yeah, it was the Mitri team 1-2 for quite a while during the feature.
Yeah. I think he's going to win half those races, if not 3/4 of them.
Yeah, with the current lineup, running NARC, you got one kid out of Washington. He's sort of like a jam car out there till he gets some laps. But yeah, it was a good show. I don't know. I have no complaints, about the race. Well, I guess I will give them one complaint. It wouldn't be me if I didn't. But they got to do something with the pill draw or the dash draw. They found something to pull something out of, but they're still pulling a piece of paper.
At least they had the dash and didn't cancel it.
Well, they did do that. And the other thing is they had a full field. They
Good.
ran 24 cars in the feature. I don't know. They really did a good job. I didn't run into Dr. Midnight.
He was not there, but he's asking Will. I'm supposed to ask you a question, not to cut you off. Dr. Midnight wants to know, how did the Catings look?
They look old.
Okay. Well, alrighty then.
I mean, compared to everybody else. I mean, you have a lot of youngsters out there now, and Tim and Bud, they are competitive to a point, but like Bud, TK just swamped him in the heat race, started on the front row and was gone by a mile. But then he drew the 6 and had to start 6. And had him and DJ Neto, their feud still going pretty strong, got together and he fell back and then worked half the race to catch up. And, the camera guy was in love with him because they didn't show Sanders that much. He was just gone, led every lap.
I definitely think TK is way more competitive than Bud.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
But they're the long stays of the tour. They've been running, more Bud. TK's been running mid in other states during the summer. It'll be interesting to see if he stays in the zero car the whole season. I'm not sure if they're running the whole season or not. But he had an interesting comment after the race, Tim Koenig, because he had a flip on the last lap, and my wife was a little worried, so she wanted to go check on him, and we asked him how he felt, and he said, "Oh, I'll be sore tomorrow." And then I had a question for him. I said, "It seems like it's a pinball game or a pinball machine out there for you." He goes, "Well, there's a lot of kids out there that are racing against, and they haven't learned the craft that well yet." And he's bouncing around on other cars and trying to do his best. But a big surprise was Chance Grasty had a podium and was running really good in the front.
Yeah, Chance is second in points for NARC, which I looked at it today because I was doing my top 50. I'll have that out as soon as I get off the show. I got to do 3 more, so I'll definitely have that out tonight. I'm a little late with it. And Chance Grasty, how about him being second in NARC points? I wouldn't have been the guy I selected, but looking decent.
Yeah, I was surprised. I really was. That car showed speed, and he's showing he can handle it, especially on the Tulare Bull Ring. I don't know. It was a great show. Great time. The grandson had fun, got autographs and pictures. It was a really good trip for us.
Well, I'll leave you with this. It seems like you're stunned that everything was good. You almost don't know what to say.
Very surprised. Yeah, you're totally right. I almost had something to complain about, but they fixed it before they started the race. And like I said, there was nothing right because I was there, and I didn't see anything that they did that would cause any complaints out of me. And yeah, I'm surprised. I think that it's only 4 or 5 races into the season, but the Scott Woodhouse group has really turned it around this year, and we'll see if it continues.
Well, you're
optimistic. Thanks for taking my call.
No problem, Will. You're optimistic, Will, today, so I like it.
Thanks, Jeremy. See you next week.
All right. Thank you very much, Will. Can I get a Tampa Bay Lightning update if anybody has it? There's a reason I'm asking. Corey Day wins Group B qualifying, followed by Holmes, Sweet, Seavey, Selzy, Abreu, Williamson, Randall, Myers Jr., and Peck. I had Peck. I need Peck to do 10th, but that's getting the A main, do some damage. Lightning 1, Canadians 0. Are we at the end of a period yet? How much time's left in the first? I need a update at the end of the first period. So it's 1-0. Hagel with the goal. Fair enough. Who had the assist? I have 2 wagers on this game. I have Radish with an assist tonight, and I need the Lightning to be leading by a goal at the end of 1 period. So you guys will all be with me with at least for one of these wagers. I need Radish for an assist. Should have went with Gensel. I went with Gensel in game 1, and he got me an assist, and I won that one. But it's been a little rough the first couple days. How about Tanner Holmes in his first high limit podium? Yeah, I mean, look, the last 5 races, he's had 3 top 5s. 2 of them, he has 2 fourth place runs with high limit. But you got to build on that. And while it is a note, obviously put it in the top 50. See what he does tonight. You gotta, one race does not make the season. And I need to see progress, consistent progress. I actually talked to him at the Grove, and the conversation was, I just asked him what it's been like, and that was it, because that's my job. And he knew he needed to do better. He knows he needs to improve quicker, and we'll see. What's wrong with being a buddy homer? Well, I don't want to be a homer for anybody, because I think when people say homer, they mean you're not going to be honest about them. And I can't. I'm not like that. But I talked to somebody. I mean, Buddy's going to win a title. That's it. And he's going to win a ton of races, and he's talented, and you can see it. He won $800,000 last year. That's not luck. It wasn't like a goof. He leads the country and wins this year. So far. Granted, it's early, but yeah, I the word homer, it's kind of like when somebody says you're a hater. Well, no, I'm just being honest about what I see. And homers, it's just one of those terms that people throw around, and I don't understand it. So if I say something good, am I a homer for Chase Dietz because I did a 90 at 9 on him today, and how he's won 13 out of 72 starts with Stamen, which is 18%. I think it's pretty good. No, Buddy's great. Buddy's going to the Sprint Car Hall of Fame. It's going to happen. That's it. Jeremy, do you think we'll see Brad Sweet at Knoxville, the 94 this weekend? I think so. He is running the Nationals. I would be surprised if he's not at Knoxville. It's just, Ryan and I talked about it yesterday, and we both think he's on the roster, or that he's headed there. I think Ryan checked with somebody. So I expect him there this weekend. Did you get an explanation of what went on at the Grove Friday night, causing us to watch an hour and a half of push trucks running the track? They overwatered it. It was too wet. It's the only thing it could have been. It just wasn't running in. And the weather was good. It wasn't a weather issue. Just, I think it was overwatered. Now, they got it done quick. I will give Kevin Now's credit. Once they got going, they zoomed through the show pretty good. And so far, the Grove's done a good job with that. Now, you can't start late. There's no reason to start late. But they did rally, and they did save it, so to speak. But still, would have been nice to get out an hour earlier. Jeremy, National Series need to run Sunday nights more. Don't tell me guys work on Monday. Most guys have weeks of vacation, and kids are off for summer half the year these days. Work is a real thing, and I don't think you want to make a habit of it. I wouldn't want to make a habit of it. Sunday racing, there's a reason they don't do it. I think they probably have analytics saying that Sunday racing isn't as successful. I don't know. Husitz does it. I know Baps does it. When you say more, how much? I do think there's a threshold. I think if you do it 5 times during the year, okay, I'm down with that. I think if you do it 10, you might be too much. So I think you're not wrong. I just think there's a threshold there you don't want to cross. Can we say condolences, thoughts, and prayers to Oh, to the Overhaul Baylog families. Yeah. Already mentioned that. I can't imagine losing a loved one at 38. No, you never want to, obviously, but 38. Cancer it's a shame. Would Selinsgrove consider shortening the track in a couple of years? The problem is you don't own it. If you put money into it to shorten it, which it's going to cost, I think the last 2 regimes ago, the Hefner, Steve Inch, Alan Kreitzer regime, I think it was like $200,000 to do it, and you don't own it. I don't think you can recoup that money because remember, you're paying 30, 35,000 lease payment every year. I would question whether they made money last year, but even if they did, if you're going to recoup, I mean, you got to recoup at least $150,000, $200,000 to do that. It just doesn't make sense to do it. You don't own it. And it's not like a piece of equipment. If they buy, say, a grader, when they leave Selinsgrove, they can take the grader with them. You can't take the track with you. I think that's one of the big problems with short or aspirations of shortening that or doing other things up there that stay with the track. You don't own it. You can't take it with you. That makes it dicey. What was the first caution for Sunday night at the Outlaws feature? I missed it. I turned it on 3 laps in. I had it on, but I was talking to my daughter and I had something going on in the background. So I apologize. I missed it. So if anybody can answer them, fire away. Again, I apologize for that. I watched it from lap 3 on. The crowd at the Grove was very underwhelming considering how nice of a night it was. Yeah, I just don't think any series race has drawn a host of people. We'll see how it goes this week. I'll be at Knoxville, but I'll know people there who'll send me pictures. For some reason, the Grove always needs to flatten the cushion either before heats or the feature. Yeah, I think that is something that happens a lot in the area. Now, the race wasn't bad. I thought the race was good. I thought the last 2 weeks, the race has been pretty good. Maybe they found something. I can't believe with how wet it was early that it actually got to the point where you could move around. Chase Dietz said that in the interview I had with him. He and Troy Wagaman, they both couldn't believe it widened up like it did. Maybe they got something going on there. Maybe something, whatever it is, the last 2 weeks it's worked. I just got a note that Reese Nowatarski doubt he'll run this year. It's doubtful. Who will win a feature in PA first, Garrett Williamson or Callum Williamson? Yeah, sugar bear. Garrett Williamson. Any thoughts on 3-time Maddington Toyota Series champ Dane Kingshot joining Lundstrom Motorsports for 2026 sprint car season? You know, I didn't know much about him till I watched some of the Australia stuff. He's pretty good over there. I'm anxious to see what he can do. I'm anxious to see, does he adjust to the bigger tracks over here? Now he's going to be in the Lundster car, and that's kind of been up and down the last how many years? And we'll see. I think it's good. I like the guys coming over from Australia. I think it helps Australian racing. I think you can, as American fans, we see these guys, and then during the off season, I think people tune in. And Kingshot has made a strong impression in Australia over the last how many years? 3-4 years. probably longer. But I watched him in the offseason this year. Looked really good. And now he's a guy I'm going to keep an eye on when he comes over here. I think it's all good. I like all that when those guys come over. Pit fees are ridiculous also, $40, but $30 adult and $20 student. Really? That's $80 for husband and wife and one kid, and no food added to this yet. But hey, they got $32 for pay-per-view. Yeah, costs are too high. And again, it goes back to $30 for a show that you can get for 20 or 25 another week. You know, if you pay more for an outlaw show or a high limit show, it's justifiable. You're getting the best in the sport. That isn't happening for these other shows. And again, people are going to save their money for the sanctioned shows. They're going to save their money for PA Speed Week. They're going to save their money for the Tuscarora 50, the Williams Grove National Open, the Keith Kaufman Classic, maybe. Races like that. It is a major concern. And $40 at the pit gate, guys are getting sick of it. I hear it in the pit area every week now. Now, again, costs go up. And I'm going to look at the other side of it for a minute. It's still not an expensive ticket if you're talking about sports. What's it cost to go to a movie now? I mean, costs are going up. And the track isn't going to eat it. They're going to pass it along just like every other business in America. Almost every business. They're going to pass it along. Their costs go up, your costs are going to go up. It's unfortunate, but that's how it works. But again, $30. And would I like to see, it's going to be interesting to see the $5 night at Babs Motor Speedway. They have 410s, regular purse, $5 to get in. I want to see if they pack that place. Because he's giving back, Colton Gauss and Scott Gobrek are giving back to the fans on this one. Now we're going to see if it works. I would like to see the Grove go, hey, we're going to have a $10 admission night. I want to see how many fans go. Can you make your nut with quantity instead of a higher ticket price? Nobody's really done it on without just doing a pack to track night. Be interesting to see. Getting the 1 minute sign from Eric. Pete on line 4. Pete, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay. Not too bad.
Not too bad. Well, I was just going to say, obviously this is just an opinion, but I don't think Buddy can complain about how he got raced if he didn't stay on the racetrack. And if you drive down below the tires, which marks the racetrack, whether it should be a concrete wall or a bigger tractor tire, that's not the racetrack anymore. And if you go down there, well, so be it. You go down there to miss a wreck, that's one thing. If you just go down there to get around 2 lap cars, it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of guys do it, and it's not called. So I don't know.
I agree with that too. If they're not going to call it,
you do it.
Then you can cut through the middle of the infield. I see what you're saying, but also, I don't know. To me, it's like if you're going to push the limits on the race in general, and then you push it and you get bit by it a little bit, then okay, you tuck your tail and you say that one bit me in the ass, and maybe next time I'll get away with it and we won't wreck and I get around him. But I don't know. To me, it's just cut your losses and go on. It didn't work out for you that time. Get out of there.
That's fair. That's fair.
I like Buddy. I like the way, and I even like how aggressive he is. I think it was it is what it is. I think the whole deal was a racing deal anyways.
Yes.
I think too much was made of it.
Yes.
But also, you went where you weren't even supposed to be driving. You got bit. You got wrecked. Throw it in the box. Try again next time. Maybe it won't happen.
I can't disagree with that. I mean, look, if you're going to go down there and you're going to pop a wheelie after you kind of come onto the track off a tire. Again, I still don't understand why we're using tires, but okay.
I can see that point as well. That's fair. I agree. If they're put a wall down there or just call it when someone does it. But and to me, he's not even next to Sunshine if he doesn't drive through didn't drive through the infield. So let's not get carried away.
Yeah, let's not
cut that
change
corner
it
off. He's not even next to him.
Yeah. Probably not.
So,
and yeah, I get it.
So that's my 2 cents.
No
Probably
problem.
not even worth 2 cents, but that's mine.
Well, Pete, thank you very much.
Who wins it at Eagle tonight?
Who's going to what?
Who wins it at Eagle?
Corey Day.
Corey Day, yeah. I mean, he was quick time again. If
Yep.
he can not step on it.
Yeah.
He wins
Look,
because of how he drives, and
yes.
he wrecked because of how he drives.
Correct. I agree with that.
One of those he wins or he doesn't finish, but it's usually a show either way.
High risk, high reward, and I have them in my pool.
There you go. Hey, have a good night, man.
Thanks, Pete. Appreciate it. Do we have a first period update on the Lightning Canadians? Come on, Eric. What are you doing over there? Killing me. $4:25 left. God, what time did they start that thing? It's a long period. Same score. That's what we like. Got to hit the first one because it's plus 145 and that'll work. Kevin Niles out of town this weekend for his NASCAR gig. Grove is definitely stretch out the night. Just a heads up. I won't be there. I'll be at Knoxville where there's probably going to be 60 cars and I could see the night getting stretched out there. That's a shame that that's the case. Let's hope they continue, or the person who's in charge continues kind of that fast pace, and we'll see. Ah, come on. See, first period's killing me. That first period spread bet's killing me. Should have taken the over 1.5 for the first period. Thoughts on James Rosselli getting seat time in a 410 at the Grove? Could be one to watch for the future. Yeah, I noticed that. Again, I don't want to judge a guy on his first visit. Obviously, we'll see. We'll see how he develops. And, obviously, is he going to run more races? That's the question. And how many is he going to run? And where is he going to run? It'll be interesting to see if we can add another car to Central Pennsylvania on a regular basis. We might need it. Tanner Holmes, top 5 tonight? No. Jeremy, is it just you at Sprint Car Unlimited or you have a crew? It's just me. I do have Eric, obviously, is a producer. He was at Lincoln last week while I was at a hockey game with my daughter. Joseph Terrell on the West Coast does a good job out there. And Brent Smith handles a lot of my pictures. And Dave Byro sometimes, DB3, he'll sometimes do pictures as well if Brent's not there. And Jeremy Zarfos is a photographer as well, who I've used when Brent and somebody else isn't there. So full time, it's just me. First money line parlays. Now are we betting first periods? Sense a problem. No, it's that whole it's that whole deal where, it's kind of like when a team goes up 3-0 and the home team is down 3-0 and you bet them in that fourth game. The Lightning lost the first, you figure they're going to come out strong in that. They don't want to go down 0-2 after being at home. Just the first period's been really strange in the playoffs so far. I haven't lost a ton of them. I think I've lost like 2. This will be number 3. I thought the Lightning would come out really strong. Obviously they did. Vasilevsky is one of the best goalies in the league, but for some reason in the playoffs, he's been gettable. Hopefully the Lightning can score in the last 4:25. Jeremy needs to make a Dingus appearance at Knoxville this weekend. No. I walked into Dingus once just to look around during the day. I've never been there at night and probably won't be. I got work to do. After the races, I got to get my work done. It's way more important to me than going to hang out at Dingus. Sorry, just not my scene. What about second and third periods? No, I don't bet second and third periods. Maybe I should. No, it's that initial burst. It's that, hey, it's go time. Look, and it's hit in past years. It just not this year. So I'll lay off them. If I don't win this one, I'll lay off them. When is a deep dive for Van May? I got to get in touch with Van, and maybe this year sometime. The deep dive's kind of tough lately because I schedule a guy and then something comes up and it's too late in the week to reschedule someone else. Because it is an hour thing. Now, I'm going to have a guy tomorrow. I'm not going to say who it is because if I do, it's just I don't want to put him on the spot like that. So far, we're planning on tomorrow sometime, and it'll be up Thursday evening. Jeremy, are you flying into Knoxville this weekend to hang out with Spike? No. I'm flying in to watch the World of Outlaws events. Neil Wilt will be with me. He's from New Jersey. Friend of mine. He is out there on business. So he's going to the races. I'm staying with him, cut costs a little bit. And I'm actually riding with him to and from the airport, and the place we're staying is on the ground. So not an expensive trip. Otherwise, and I wouldn't go if the weather changes to where I'm going to miss a night, I'm not going. I got to get both nights in. For the price of the plane ticket, it's got to make sense to me. And if I don't go, I'll move it to the Knoxville Nationals, the airfare. But if I run into Spike, I'll definitely say hello. What happened after he laid off Scotty Scheffler? He finished. Yeah, I know. That's the problem. But I'm not going to keep pumping money into the well. You know what? I have a phrase that people should know well now. It's chipping away. And that means sometimes not keep chipping away and losing until I can finally chip away. And I'm sure I'll see one in another round. I'll probably just the end of the first round, I'll probably just take a break from first period bets for a while. I bet on Pittsburgh last night too. I thought they'd come out swinging. Boy, they looked 60 years old out in the ice compared to the Flyers. I don't think it was a bad play. It just didn't win. I didn't think they would be. I thought they had a hangover from they didn't play for a while at the end of the regular season. They sat. The coach sat. So I thought, they're just sluggish. Flyers had to play right up until the end because they were battling for a playoff spot. So I thought, okay, Pittsburgh's sluggish. They're going to come out fast in game 2. That was wrong. They, whew, just pitiful. And I won't touch that series at all. The rest of the however long it lasts. Not doing it. Where I screwed up loud is I should have did a futures bet on the Flyers, because I thought the Flyers would win that series, which I said on this show. I also didn't understand the Canadiens line for the futures for winning that series. I thought it was way lopsided, and I should have bet the Canadiens. I don't like doing futures bets too often, but that's my mistake. I should have done it. And also I think the over under was 5.5 games for that series. But my app doesn't do it. Or at least I couldn't find it. Or I got to it too late and they took it off the board. I would have bet that series over 5.5 games. Same with Minnesota and the Stars. Just, got to be smarter. Maybe you hit this already, but anyway, I'm not sure who Rohan Beasley is, but that was an interesting post about 410 affordability the other day. What are your thoughts? I don't disagree with him. Certainly don't disagree with him. Cost is a major issue. Here's where I definitely split with people. Nobody in the pit area is poor. Okay, none of these teams are poor. Okay, none of these teams, if you own a sprint car and a trailer and 2 engines and 2 rollers, you're not poor. Yeah, you're not Big Game Motorsports, you're not Roth, you're not JJ. True, but you're not poor either. He's not wrong. Look, the engine costs are getting out of control and the tire bills are getting out of control. How do you stop it? Well, you're not going to change the engine bill because the components are going to keep going up and labor is going to keep going up, and you just hope it slows down. The tires, that's a different story. That's a Hoosier problem. And once they went to a one brand or one tire company, now it's kind of a monopoly. But Goodyear's not coming back. Maybe American Racer, don't know if they can produce enough tires. It's just a problem. And I think it's going to get bigger. So I do think Mr. Beasley was right. I just don't see it changing. I don't know what you do, because even if you do something with the motors, well, everybody's going to have to go buy new motors, or maybe they're going to have to make changes to them, and that's going to cost money. Everything costs money. So the cat's out of the bag. I don't think there's anything you can do about it. Period 1 has ended. Canadians won. Lightning won, of course. Appears Heath Moyle has the Cy Lynch team headed in the right direction. Still don't see why Marks fired him and the rest of the crew. I thought bringing in Heath Moyle was a good get for Cy Lynch. He brings organization. He's been on the road a long time. That team doesn't have a lot of experience. It was a good move. And I think over time they will continue to improve. I believe he was second at Lucas Oil Speedway. Again, one race, but I guess he timed decent tonight. I took him on my pool. I think Heath, by the end of the year, they'll be in better shape than they were last year, certainly. I see a video of Macri on top of the 13 hauler from Williams Grove. Was Macri helping, coaching Holmes? I have no idea. I think he was just there. He's been in the pit area since the crash at Williams Grove. I don't know if he knows somebody with that team. I could see Holmes asking him questions, but I have no information on whether he was helping him or not. If the Tartans get a real driver in the 21 car, Sanders won't win half the races out there, just saying. Who's a real driver? Got to tell me who. Can't just say a real driver. I don't know who that is. Sanders is the best driver on the West Coast. He is. Is Chase Dietz the new darling in PA posse racing scene? I don't think a darling is, that seems a little negative to me, but no, he's paid his dues. He ran his own team. He was started to get pretty good in his own car, and then Stamen hired him, and he's doing well. I mean, 13 wins and 72 starts in Central PA. Got his first World of Outlaws win during the National Open. He's in the top 5, I think 68.3% of the time. He's in the top 10, 83.3% of the time. I think that's pretty good. I don't think it's a darling. I think he's producing on the track. He's a good crew chief in Tommy Carl. He's with a good team with good resources in Stamen Motorsports, and they don't break down a lot. The maintenance is good. I think they're going to have a really good year, and with Macri on the shelf, I do think right now he's the best in PA as far as overall speed, time trialing, winning races, etc. So who are all the Aussies coming this summer? Oh, well, King Shot. I thought Callum Williamson's coming over. Attard, I think it's Attard, is coming over. I know I'm missing one. I expect Jamie Veal to be here. Obviously, James McFadden's going to be here. I'm trying to think. I'm missing somebody. Is it Jock Goodyear? I don't know if he'll be over or not. I'm missing one of their big guys is coming over. But that's what I know as of now. What's the cost for parking and a ticket at a Hershey Bears hockey game? Season tickets for me, it works out to be about $18 a game, every home game. It's parking's expensive. It's $25 if you buy the parking online. Yes, Ryan Newton, thank you. $30 if you just drive up. Season ticket holders get free parking. As far as if you're buying a single game ticket, you could pay anywhere from $20 to $50, depending where it is. It's maybe 25, depending if you buy it the day of the game. There's timing there as well. It's pretty reasonable. If you could get down toward the glass for $50. It's playoff games are a little more. I think they're 30. There's a playoff game Thursday that I'll go to. They're actually playing tonight, and the Bears, it's tied at the start of the second period with Bridgeport. So it's 0-0. It's best of 3, but they have a game Thursday night, and I think it's like $32 or something like that. Again, depends where you sit. It's reasonable. The parking's where it gets you. Looking like High Limit added some new production elements to FS1 to help new fans. There you go. Sugar Bear like that. Uh-oh. Jeremy, are you going to watch the High Limit race tonight or the hockey game? I will put the High Limit race on my computer because I do got to do a 90 at 9. And I will have split screen hockey games on my TV. No, I cannot bet on the Hershey Bears that I know of. And not that I know of. Thoughts on the young talent in the 358s? Jaden Wolf, Logan Spar, Chase Gutshaw, Brock Hamaker, to name a few. I like Jaden Wolf. I know he blew a motor at Baps, and if I'm not mistaken, he's been on the sideline a little bit. Logan Spar, we'll see. I think the jury's still out. Chase Gutshaw, he's run 358s for a little bit now with his super sportsman duties. I think Brock Hamaker is up and coming. They have some good young guys there. Going to the 410s is so difficult because you almost got to do it on your own. There aren't a ton of owners here anymore like there used to be. So I think that's a problem. But no, Jaden Wolf out of that group is the one I like the best. Just there's no corporate jet. No. It's commercial for me, baby. The economy seats. Nelly Corda favored to win LPGA first major this week. Is she your favorite? Because I'm not betting on her then. I don't want her to lose. I stay away from golf now after the Scotty Scheffler thing. No. Not doing it. I lie. I did bet on the final round of the Masters. I hedged. I had Caleb Young to win and Rory McIlroy. And I was able to hedge it, so I made more than I spent on both bets. I was actually smart there. So when Rory, it really would have screwed me if both of them wouldn't have won. So Rory bailed me out, and that was enough for me the rest of the year. Is Joel Myers Jr. related to Jason Myers? No. Jason Myers is Meyers, spelled different. Any news on Kyle Moody? Haven't seen him in any PA races. He raced at Lincoln this past week. I believe he had a top 10. I think he finished 8th or 9th. I believe he started on the pole as well, but he was 8th or 9th. Cameron Young, not Caleb Young. Somebody just texted me and was all over me because I said the wrong name. Sorry, doing a racing show. Have you answered why the high limit races are usually $12,000 to win when the whole point was it'd be more money? Kind of confusing at how they're just matching it. Well, I think they're looking at it for the big shows. They have Silver Dollar, 100. They have Skagit Nationals, 100. They have the Weikert, which is 100. They have Eagle, which is 50. They have to Texas. I think Texas is 50. And plus they get to run all the Outlaws big races. So and their franchises are worth more. So I don't think they meant every race. I think it's overall. It's about having more big money races. Oh, and the Tuscarora 50, that's 59 this year, 58, 59. They have more $50,000 to win races. They have more of the big shows, and they can run all the Outlaws ones. I don't know. And the franchise deal seems pretty good to me, looking at it. So it wasn't something that I think is across the board every race. And I believe the midweek shows are more. What is the deal with not being able to run a 358 at a 360 race at Port Royal last weekend? That I don't know. I wasn't there. Were they even on the card? I know the 305s were. I know it was a lot of small car stuff. It's. I have no idea. I don't know why. Heat 1 results. Timms, Thorson, Reitzel, Lynch, Persley are in the transfer spots. Jennington, Marks. Man, Marks struggling. Gossel, Wood, and Key round out the top 10. Cameron Key doing me no favors out of that last group. Thought he'd be better. Marks spun in the opening lap. Well, there you go. Where was he running when he did it? Sugar Bear. Everybody in the last group is bad. In the back. Okay. Everybody in the last group of these pools, it's group 8. So you're not getting any winners out of that group. Does Colorado make Cup final for third year in a row? Colorado did not make the Cup final the last 2 years. I think you mean Edmonton. And no, they won't. Much to my dismay. Jeremy, drivers get married and see a decline. Rico, Marks, to name a few. Your thoughts? I've heard this a lot across the board in sports. You get married, you get complacent, you get I don't know if it's true or not. I've never charted it. I don't think Rico getting married. Brent Marks has one being married. He was married when he had the 2022 season. I mean, he wasn't divorced yet. Yeah, I don't think there's any correlation. David Gravel seems to do well, and he's married. Carson Macedo, albeit this year isn't winning as much, so you got me there. Steve Kinzer was married. He won a lot. Doug Wolfgang was married. He won a lot. Sammy Swindell was married. He won a lot. I don't think there's any correlation at all. How's Charlie Garrett doing? Watched an interview with him. Seems like an amazing guy. He is. He's retiring, and Trenton Schaefer is taking over the reins of the engine shop. And I think Rudine, that's where Rudine's going now. Jeremy, is it true that Lance DeWeese competed in pro golf tournaments? Not that I know of. I know he's competed in golf tournaments. I don't think he's a scratch golfer. In fact, I just talked to him about this at Babs. I can't remember what he said his handicap is. But I don't think he's a scratch golfer. So no, I don't think he's played. Maybe in one of those lower tour events. I don't think so though. But I know he plays tournaments, like local stuff and some other places. Do you know anything about these co-sanctioned races between High Limit and the All-Stars? Like, will the All-Stars announcer be there? I mean, I don't know if he's going to. I would assume he might be in the booth with them. I have no idea. I don't think it's going to be a big deal, them co-sanctioning races. I just think it's a race for both sides. But I wouldn't be surprised if he's in the booth. What's the purse look like for the Weikert? How many tickets does Port need to sell to make their nut, as you say? I'm not sure what the entire purse is yet. They have not released it. I've heard it going up in certain spots, so I got to wait till they release it. They don't do Friday night. Gets rained out. I was rained out last year. Saturday does okay. Sunday is where they make their money. Saturday also, I think it's good because you have a lower purse. and there's nothing else going on in the area. Hence, if you get a Weicker, the finale crowd on Saturday night or comparable, that's where you're going to make your money. And then you just hope to, tread water, obviously, on the finale. But Friday, they rained out last year, so we don't know what that looks like. When the purse comes out, I can figure it out, but I haven't seen it yet. We're still a month away. Heat race 2 results: Macedo, Crouch, Madsen, Davis, Polkerbeck. In the transfer spots, Martin, Johnson, McCarl, Workmeister, White on the outside looking in. Thank you very much. Are we kind of cruising to the end here? An alternate theory of light crowds for these PA posse races. Wonder how much of a Macri effect there is going on right now. They were light when he was there. They were light at Port when he was there. I don't think he's 500 fans. I mean, I think he's popular. Don't get me wrong, but I don't. The first couple were lighter, and he was in the building. He was racing. So I don't think there's any correlation to that right now. Did Justin Henry, DD Justin Henry, how many guys have ran for the legendary 69K and owned their own team? Whew. Well, Deweese at one time owned his own team. Justin Henderson, like you say. Logan Wagner at one time owned his team. Darren Pittman, I think, did. I think. You have to go back pretty far for that one. But I'm not 100% sure on that. But those guys at one, so there's your answer. Dave Ely owned his own team, and he ran the Kreitz car a little coming out of the gate. Then he got this 77. Macedo would be a good win. Be interesting with the Ford under the hood, and I'm sure Kistler would love it. All right, guys, that's a wrap. Obviously, things are decreasing because of high limit on FS1. I'm going to go turn it on and check out some hockey. Thank you very much to everybody who joined the show with us starting early. And we'll be back next week.